Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, I Care for Dummies. My name is Mian Ahmad, and today I will be joining you on this hopefully intellectual journey that will open some eyes, as they say. Excuse the, excuse the, I would call that a corny joke. Yeah, excuse the corny joke. I apologize. So, a little bit of background on why I decided to start this podcast. It's very important for people to understand. So, eye care is very especially important to me because I have this thing called strabismus in my eye. Let's see if I can point it out. It's kind of difficult to see on a camera like this because it's a front-facing camera, so it hides it well. But I have strabismus, and that is known as, in colloquial terms, it's known as the lazy eye. So this eye right here is pretty lazy, hasn't worked a day in its life. Um, and it really, eye care, especially related things, are really important to me because it affects me personally, right? And so I just wanted to get you guys a little bit of background knowledge before we start into this very important section of healthcare. And just so you know that I am speaking from experience and I am speaking as a person who has gone through the healthcare system and knows what its strong suits and its weaknesses. So, my experience with eye care and what it says about population health. So basically, I've had strabismus since I was born, unfortunately. It was a gift passed down to me from my father, bless his heart. Um, Unfortunately, what I begun to realize when I grew older, my strabismus actually caused double vision. It doesn't anymore because when I was younger, I had surgery to fix it. The double vision is gone now. However, the strabismus still exists, right? The right eye goes out and upwards, so that's called exotropia. It's when the eye wants to drift out and up. And so what I found as of recently, I decided, hey, I'm tired of living with this eye condition. It affects my depth perception and it affects my ability to see 3D movies. And for example, especially with depth perception, I can't shoot like a basketball correctly. I can't, you know what I'm saying? It's really hard to um, read things clearly at a fast pace because my eye just wants to drift and wants to be lazy, as they say. So what I figured out that I did not know beforehand, because I was young when I had this surgery, so my father took care of everything for me. It was through their healthcare system. Um, Many specialists actually require referrals before appointments, and this is very important to note because it's not a problem that can just be solved where, oh, you go to the eye doctor and they immediately offer you, you know what I'm saying, like a surgery or in my case, what I wanted to look for, if surgery was one of the options, but not the only option. I was wanting to look for glasses that had prisms on them so that I could slowly work my way into having my eye straighten and not having to actually have surgery on it. So, unfortunately, what I realized is many specialists actually require referrals before appointments. So, seeing an ophthalmologist is not as easy for strabismus anyway as going straight to the doctor, getting a checkup, and you get the treatment the same day, or set up the you can set up the appointment for like an eye surgery or like an eye exam that day. That's actually not how it works. So what happens is you have to go to a regular ophthalmologist first, and then they forward you to a strabismus specialist who will then take your case on a case-by-case basis. They decide what to do with you, basically, if therapy is an option, or if, like I said, uh, glasses are an option, or if it's severe enough. In my case, I honestly don't know because I've had trouble getting appointments. But Um, it's really difficult to just outright find a solution to strabismus, right? And so this especially becomes important because things like this, when you have to get a referral, it often puts a multiple barriers in the way of the patient. So, for example, for me, I do not have insurance at the moment or eye care insurance because I am currently in between jobs right now. And so I would have to pay everything out of pocket. So not only would I be having to pay for just the referral itself, just for the straight up appointment, but I would also have to pay for the follow-up appointment with the strabismus specialist, whether that be like a surgery or something like that. So already I'm facing multiple barriers where I have to actually wait until I can, number one, get a job, and number two, get insurance so that I don't have to pay, thousands upon thousands of dollars when it comes to like if they decide surgery is the only option or if they decide, getting glasses with prisms inside is one of the options. So that's like one of the many barriers that people face. Um, and this is important to know because population health, it's very it's not just a singular person's problem. So what I'm dealing with, many other people are dealing with as well. And this just goes to show that the harder healthcare systems are, the harder it is for people to get proper care. And this is especially important for people who maybe don't have a grasp of the English language as well, or they aren't familiar with our healthcare systems. Not everybody is blessed with having English as a primary language or without having the capability of understanding the complexities that is the United States healthcare system. So healthcare systems actually affect access to care pretty significantly, right? If you don't understand the healthcare system, getting care is going to be pretty difficult. So, and this is what I meant by it's not just about me, it's about everybody. It's looking beyond the individual, right? Um, I used to think, and this was silly of me. This was coming from a place of privilege, where I used to think that personal decisions affect health. That the main determinant of somebody's health was their personal decisions, and while that can be true, I'm not denying that personal decisions do affect health. I unfortunately did not understand that that's not the only determinant, right? So like for me, for example, right now, I didn't choose to not have insurance, right? I didn't choose to have strabismus. I didn't choose this life that I was given. But unfortunately, this is what I was born with. This is my cross to bear, so to speak. So this is just one of the things where you have to realize that not a lot of people get to choose, the problems that they have. A lot of people do, when it comes to like smoking or drinking or something like that. So you can start, and that's definitely your decision. But when it comes to like genetic disorders or disorders that you have from birth that you can't really control, it's not up to you, right? And I unfortunately had that way of thinking where I was like, yeah, if if you have these certain issues and you want them fixed, you should probably get help, right? Go to the doctor and figure it out. But that's so easy to say when you're off your parents' insurance and when you're younger, and because you don't understand that, hey, not everybody's got the money, right? Not everybody's got the transport. Many social determinants, like I was saying, transport, the fact if you have insurance or not, even if like you're making income, if you have income, that affects a lot, right? Especially for people who have other concerns that gradually get worse and worse and worse with time. So I've been lucky enough where I haven't noticed any sharp decline in my vision in my right eye. All I have is a cosmetic problem. Which, I mean, I guess you could say it's more than a cosmetic problem because of the fact that I have a lack of depth perception and things of that nature. But it's mainly a cosmetic problem, right? My vision is 20 in this eye and 18 in this eye. So it's not really that significant. And that's what it's been pretty much my whole life. So I'm in a boat where, the ship isn't sinking, right? I'm not in such a crazy hurry where I have to do something because my eye's just going to get worse and worse. Of course, in the future, God forbid, but in the future that could change, and you never want to find that out. But yeah, so healthcare systems, especially the ones that we have in this country, can actually create a lot of barriers for patients, right? Especially when it's not government supplied, government paid for. Um, Barriers include, like I said, transport, insurance, income, whether you have things like that or you don't. Uh, and unfortunately, a lot of people's health concerns and health problems are much more serious than just a cosmetic sort of issue like mine. So why access matters, right? Not everyone faces the same barriers in life, right? If you went to someone like Elon Musk, would it matter if he had insurance or not? He, when you have money, access just becomes wide open for you, right? Barriers no longer exist. You can just pay your way through them. And this is especially important when you realize that not everybody has, like I said, like I keep saying, cosmetic issues where uh, no matter what, the problem is just the same. It doesn't get worse and worse. So, for example, delayed care can worsen health outcomes. My grandfather, unfortunately, he had a surgery gone wrong on his eyes in Pakistan, which is a third world country. And he unfortunately went blind in both eyes, and there was nothing that the doctors really could do for him because the healthcare system was so messed up at that point that him getting another appointment, getting more scheduling, getting another surgery scheduled, it took so long, and he had to jump through so many hoops that unfortunately he went permanently blind. He had no help when he needed it. And it's just things like that that can happen anywhere, right? It's not just third world countries that have effects like that. And unfortunately, he was the he faced the worst possible outcome in that scenario. Um, so navigating healthcare can be difficult, especially for, people who, like I said, don't know the English language. They aren't really familiar with the healthcare world, the healthcare system, how to navigate it. Things like that can be especially difficult. Um, and all this just goes to show you that health equity is a necessity. Everybody deserves a fair opportunity, right, to become healthy. Everybody deserves that. That should be a basic human right. And the fact that, some people are unfortunate enough to have worsening conditions that they can't fix is something, nobody should have to go through. Um, so So it's really important to realize that personal experience, especially with mine, has a larger effect also on larger health systems in general, right? They reflect larger health system issues, right? So the harder healthcare access is, the harder it is for populations of people to have good health. So, for example, my individual experience of having to not only get a actual ophthalmologist to look at my eyes, but then to get a referral to then go to another strabismus specialist, to get to another eye doctor, to then get a referral from him for either a surgery or, like a prescription glasses or, therapy or whatever it might be, whatever they might decide. Jumping through hoops makes things worse for everybody involved. Especially for somebody like me who currently doesn't have insurance, I'd have to pay everything out of pocket. And since I don't have a job, this would cost me more money than I unfortunately have at the moment. In this case, prevention and early treatment are very important. If they had caught this sooner, when I was a newborn, I could have perhaps not, uh, perhaps not gone through these issues, but unfortunately, um, healthcare systems across the world aren't equal. And a lot of times when people are treated, or when people do have diagnoses, it's oftentimes too late, right? So understanding social determinants helps to create healthier communities. So it's important to understand why things are happening the way they are. So for me, for example, I'd say the location of my birth, Pakistan, the fact that I currently don't have insurance, the fact that I currently do not have an income to sustain myself and to get these eye exams and to get these prescription glasses or the surgery or whatever have you. Um, these are social determinants that you have to understand to be able to create healthier communities. If we didn't have to jump through so many hoops, if it was a very straightforward process, people like me who perhaps don't have the money or they don't have the insurance, they can just go from one source to the next instead of paying somebody to refer them to somebody else who will then refer them to either to get glasses or things of that nature. So it's very important to understand social determinants because those help create healthier communities. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.